But a year ago next week, it came to light that Robert Morris had sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl for 4 straight years. He admitted to a 4-year relationship. I didn't know that. Very few people knew that. I didn't know that.
That right there, that was the moment. A room full of people, a pastor trembling with emotion, and one sentence that set the entire tone. I didn't know. But what if that's not the truth? What if the emotion wasn't the story, but the cover? What if that sentence was the most dangerous part of all? Let's watch the full address.
I've had a trying week, a difficult week. I want to share that with you. The Tuesday night, I'm at home, and Pam started feeling kind of nauseous. Something was not right. She was not feeling great. So she went upstairs to lay down, and then finally she called me and said, "You need to come up to the room." So I got up to the room, and she was super nauseous, and she's like, I think I need to go to the ER just to get this checked. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then all of a sudden she passed out in front of me. Turns out she just had a really severe case of nausea, which can cause, it's more common in females than males, but it causes women to pass out. And so we were there until midnight on Tuesday night. So I just want to say it was really good care that they gave my wife, and we were back home on Tuesday. She's just now feeling better. In fact, she felt well enough this morning. She's going to fly down to Louisiana to check on her mom. So thank the Lord for Pam feeling better, but it was quite a Tuesday at my house. And then on Friday, an article came out, this investigative journalist, and I want to share this with you today. An article came out on Friday and made some really ugly accusations about me that kind of went national. And as your pastor, I want you to know something about me. When I stand here in front of you every Sunday, everything I tell you is the truth. I will never, ever tell something that's slanted or untrue. I'll never be manipulative toward you. I'll never tell you a half-truth. Everything I tell you is the truth. I will never, ever tell something that's slanted or untrue. I'll never be manipulative toward you. I'll never tell you a half-truth. Let me tell you what the accusation was. 18 years ago, I was on staff at a church in Dallas-Fort Worth called Gateway Church. And the senior pastor there was Robert Morris. And during that time, Robert and I were great friends. He hired me. I worked alongside him, had no reason to believe that he had any kind of character issues. He did confide in me that he had had a moral failure when he was 20 years old. And that's really all the details that he shared. Is like 15 years before they had gone through a restoration process. And I didn't have any reason to doubt that. I never saw anything in his life that would lead me to believe that he was not a man of character. So when in August of 2007, the search committee of New Life Church, called me, little old me, to come be the pastor here at New Life Church. So Pam and I, we were in Louisiana at the time visiting our family. We packed up our car. Abram was 8 years old. Little Callie was 6 years old. They were just little babies. And we got in our car and drove for 2 days to come to Colorado. And on the 2-day drive to Colorado from Louisiana with our little kids, and we said to each other, I don't care about being a celebrity pastor, being well known. I don't care anything about that. I don't care if anybody ever remembers my name when I retire. I don't care. But what we do care about, deeply, sincerely, what we care about is that our church is healthy. But a year ago next week, it came to light that Robert Morris had sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl for 4 straight years. And it was shocking. It was mind-numbing. It was awful. It was evil. And he admitted to a 4-year relationship that started when he was 20 years old. The girl, Cindy Clemenshire, was 12 years old when the abuse started. And it happened for 4 years until he was 24 and she was 16. I didn't know that. Very few people knew that. In the process, though, of them interviewing me, the search committee was brought, the fact that Cindy Clemenshire was 12 years old, that was brought to their attention. They found out, they heard in an interview with a family member that Cindy was 12 years old. And they immediately called the elders at Gateway Church and told them. And the elders of Gateway Church said, we're aware of that. it's been handled. Her family, her pastor has given Robert a thumbs up. They've gone through a process of restoration, and there's nothing left to do. It's already been reported. But the search committee didn't tell me. And so I made Robert an overseer of the church. And I want to say something to you this morning. Knowing what I know now, I absolutely regret that. And I'm sorry that I ever gave confidence to a person that had an obvious evil thing happening in his life. I just want to tell you, I'm so sorry that first of all, I did not know, but I would never, ever put a known pedophile in a place of authority in this church. Never would I ever do that to you, ever. I know right now there is an all-time low trust in institutions, and I think it's because it's not necessarily in what they did, it's how they tried to cover it up. So I'm telling you here today, I am not hiding anything for you. I'll always tell you the truth. And when I get new information, I will tell you I'll tell you everything I know. I will never hide. I don't have a PR firm waiting for me, behind stage to give me guidance today. I don't have a team of lawyers who are barking in my ear. This is Brady Boyd sitting on a stage telling you the truth this morning, and that's what it's going to be for the next 10 years. I'm going to stand on this stage and tell you the truth.
All right, you've heard the speech, and maybe, like a lot of people in that room, you felt something. The voice shaking, the regret, the words like, "I never lied to you." But once the emotion fades, what are we actually left with? First of all, the denial. I didn't know. He says it again and again, like he wants to believe it himself. But let's not forget, Brady Boyd was an elder at Gateway Church back in 2007, and thanks to Julie Roys, we now have court documents and emails showing he was copied on messages where Robert Morris admitted the abuse, where Cindy Clemeshire's name was mentioned, where her age, 12, was clearly stated. So when Brady says, "I didn't know," it's not just emotional, it's dangerous. Because that lie, if we call it what it is, kept someone like Morris in positions of power. It let him keep moving, keep preaching, keep hurting. And then, the deflection. Brady blames the search committee for not telling him more. That's the line. The search committee didn't tell me. But here's the catch. You don't need a search committee to tell you what you already knew. You had the emails, you were in the room, you were on the board. This isn't about being uninformed, it's about being silent. Let's talk about that moment he says, "I regret giving confidence to someone with an obvious evil thing in his life." That sentence alone is terrifying, because if it was obvious, then why didn't you do anything? If it was evil, then why was he still allowed near leadership? And if you knew even a sliver of it, why wait until 2025 to say anything? What we're seeing here isn't just a breakdown in memory, it's a breakdown in accountability. Brady doesn't once say, "I knew and I should have acted." He never says, "I failed." He never owns the silence. He just says, "I didn't know," over and over and over. And the room applauded, but you know who didn't clap? The elders. They released a statement the same week and said Brady's words were inaccurate, that they didn't believe his version of the timeline, that they asked him to resign because trust was broken. And that matters, because when the people who know the full truth, the ones behind the scenes, stop backing you, that's not just a PR crisis, that's a collapse. This whole thing wasn't a confession, it was an exit strategy, an emotional moment designed to land softly, while the facts underneath it all say something completely different. It's not just about what Brady Boyd said, it's about what he left out. And what he left out was the truth. And let's talk about what really stood out. The way Brady Boyd shifts the weight of this entire moment onto himself. "I was deceived, I was lied to, I had a tough week, I have a daughter." He's listing reasons to be pitied, not taking responsibility. One fan said it bluntly, "Absolute insane how this man can pitch himself as the victim in all of this, a master deflector at work." Another pointed out the way he joked about his wife not letting him get away with something like this. That's not humility, that's damage control. That's making light of something a 12-year-old girl had to live with. But here's the line that really made people sick. Brady referred to what Robert Morris did as a relationship, a grown man, a child, a 4-year pattern of abuse, and he calls it a relationship. One viewer said it loud and clear, referring to Morris sexually assaulting a child for 4 years as a relationship is him dismissing the severity of the abuse. He can claim innocence, but he's using the language of a cover-up. And they're right, that's not careless wording, that's a choice. a tactic used over and over by churches trying to soften what cannot be softened. The emotional delivery didn't fool everyone either. Another fan said, "The amount of times I laughed out loud listening to this. These tactics are so textbook." Well-practiced manipulation. The way he expertly places himself as a victim is masterful and absolutely stomach-churning. That part where he swore, "I would never, ever lie to you." One viewer responded, yes, he would. And when you line up what he said with what we now know he received in 2007, it's hard not to agree. And then came the broader truth. This didn't just hurt one girl, it exposed a whole system. A fan broke it down. A 4-year relationship? Brady, check your language. Church leadership must stop using minimizing terms when talking about heinous acts like this. She added, "Shame on the search committee, shame on the elders of Gateway, shame on everyone who had a responsibility to that 12-year-old girl and failed her." And that's the weight of this whole situation, because Brady wasn't distant from Robert Morris. He was close, trusted, in the know. So when people say, "I have a hard time believing he didn't know," they're not wrong. These weren't just my thoughts, these are real people, real reactions, people who watched that same statement and saw through the performance, people who aren't just tired of cover-ups, they're tired of pastors crying on cue while hiding the truth. And if Brady Boyd thought that standing on stage with a trembling voice and vague regrets was going to be enough to rewrite the timeline, he underestimated how loud the truth speaks. You can deny it, you can cry through it, but when the receipts are public, people see you. This wasn't a moment of healing, it was a moment of exposure, and now that the curtain's pulled back, there's no putting it back in place. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you believe him? Did anything in that address sound like the full story to you? Hit that like button if this reaction hit. Share it with someone who still thinks the church should handle things privately, and stay locked in, because trust me, this story is far from over.